Hey everybody, it's Brett. And I just had a few thoughts about 9/11 since it's been 20 years now. And it seems like 20 years to me. But I remember that morning quite well. I first heard about it, somebody had mentioned it. I was working outside, I think, and I went in the house to check it out. And there they were, the buildings burning. And I just kept watching intently, I can't remember what I was doing, gardening or something. And I was living in Roy, Utah, and then the buildings fell, and I was just like, I couldn't believe it. My eyes were popping out of my head, and I was like, oh my God, here it is. I knew it was coming. Because we'd heard about these terrorist attacks coming before. They'd already tried to take down one of the buildings years before, one of those twin towers, or both. And so we'd heard about these things, so we kind of thought that it would happen eventually. So it wasn't really for me a surprise. And also, I've been learning about natural health and healing, and it coincides with all of these other things that have become too expanded and too wasteful and too against the environment. And the list goes on and on about how humans are really destroying their own environment. And also, I learned about that the reason for that largely is for greed and materialism. And we live in the capitalist society. The United States is, the epitome of that. And so when this becomes the reality of our world, then the United States has to go out and become the police of the world. That's what's happened. They've become the police of the world. And in order to keep commerce going, they have to regulate. The United States has they have the giant defense. They call it the defense, which is really an offense of the world. It's not so much for defense to defend our country, but also to go out with our ships and with our planes and anywhere we want to go, for the most part, and control things, and to have the dollar as largely in many parts of the world the currency. In all of South America and Central America, it's the dollar that rules for the most part, and in other parts of the country. And we can embargo things, we can put sanctions on things because we have the power and we have the money. And we do that. We have this big military to be able to control everything. So that because we have the intelligence and we have the products that people want, and so we have to control the canals, we have to control everything. And there are some people out there that obviously are not going to like that for a lot of different reasons, a lot of different reasons. And it just so happens that they coincidentally become like an environmentalist ally. It's a really weird thing. It's kind of like, the right now. The environmentalists are kind of on the same side as the Republicans. It's a strange thing. We're both against getting the what. And so it's weird that adversaries can become allies in certain circumstances because they have the same desires, the same outlook, the same whatever. In any case, I wanted to read to you, hi Sunny Moon. I wanted to read to you a little thing. I'm on the wrong page now. Continue. Okay, so I created this post the other day and the Hemperor didn't like it. Okay, and I wanted to read to you my response. Now, I didn't block the Hemperor, although that's definitely a possibility, because oftentimes when somebody is like mad at me for something and they say something against me, then it's because they've decided that they don't want to do the inversion, or they don't want to do foot massage or whatever, and they're sick of me and they want to exit stage left. And so they're going to give me a piece of their mind. So I wrote, Prior to 9/11, I was thinking about how all the giant menageries of the world would eventually come to an end, and only simple things would remain. Then on 9/11, I saw giant buildings full of businesses catering to egotism and greed come to an end. It was then that I knew I was right. So anything that's become too big for its britches, and that's what they'll say. Some people in the country say, you gotten to be too big for your britches. You know. Well, it's not just a person that can become too big for their britches, but it can also be a country, a whole country. And the whole ideology of capitalism and only making money and materialism, blah, 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 that's all that counts. And what happens? Everyone becomes obese and sick and unhealthy and full of drugs. So, so anything that's become too big for its britches had better beware. Creation will likely destroy it soon. And 12 people really liked that. But here's the reason why I didn't speak out 20 years ago very much. And you guys know the reason. You guys know. Because 3,000 plus people were killed that day. And these were Americans. Okay, so 3,000 Americans were killed on that day. And if I were to come out and say what I was really thinking back then, and this is exactly what I was really thinking back then, and to a degree still do, a large degree. If I'd have come out and said that, who knows, people would have gotten mad at me or called me on the phone or sent me bad emails or thrown eggs at my house or something, beat me up. So the emperor says those buildings were full of people just living their lives, and a lot of them lost them, and you're very sensitive and you're really lost in your own world sometimes. And today's not a day you make your smart remarks. Okay, today's not a day. It's been 20 years, and I'm not allowed to give my opinion, my smart remarks. Capitalism and greed suck, DUH. People died, thousands of parents, sons, and daughters, just people like you and I trying to get by in life. To a degree, that's true. And you can do whatever you've been doing, but you're blinded by your own truth sometimes. And somebody like that, probably just him, I write back, of course, they were real people that died. And there were real people also that do things for a living that are down to earth and ethical. And there are people out there that seek to live simple lives and that get manipulated by the big wigs in skyscrapers wearing suits and ties that are trying to take advantage of the little guy. Okay? And if you don't understand my thinking, then you can go watch someone else. The emperor, I said, go get high and wonder where you went wrong, okay, in your comment. Okay, so there are a lot of occupations that you can go and get a college education for, and you can work your way into making as much money as you can. There are lots and lots of them. And to use the word again, the absolute epitome of these, many of them, lie in great big skyscrapers in the big cities. And they have this incredible view, and they pay a lot of money for that real estate in the Trump Tower or wherever. And they're real estate banking investment companies and all kinds of companies that you can invest in. Coca-Cola is up there, and Pepsi, and all the junk food companies. And there are lots of pharmaceutical companies in those big buildings. And they represent everything that's the opposite of what I teach you about in my videos, largely. That for which, see, they're not getting any money out of me. Some of them are coincidentally, for whatever reason, I need electricity or something, like I need gasoline, I need, occasionally. But they're not getting near as much money from me as from most people. And that's because I don't buy into all of those things that I see when I drive down the road over there. I don't, I mean, do you see any couches in here? Do you see any furniture? Do you see, I mean, if I were to drive down the road, I've already told you all of the different things. I just don't buy any of that kind of stuff. And so if people were to start living, and I'm not even close to being done as far as simplifying my life is concerned. I'm not even close because I want to live off grid, baby. I want to really simplify it so that because I love the idea of not contributing to all of the bureaucracy and all of the idiocy of this world. I love it, just living a really ultra simple life where I'm like, yeah, I'm not giving that company any money. You know, I would much rather give the solar panel company money for 4 solar panels and 4 batteries. And even if it costs some, you know, detrimental aspects on the environment to create batteries and solar panels, I think it's a lot less of a footprint than what's being created to the either coal or nuclear energy that's in nuclear waste that's being created to burn these lights. It's a progression. It's a choice. And also I'm not going to be, see, when you live off grid, you can't use very much. I mean, you could have a crap load of solar panels and a crap load of batteries, blah, 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 blah. But I'm not looking to do that. And I'm not looking to burn a lot of gas. I'm looking to have a lot less of a footprint continually each year. And the more healthy, it's so perfect. The healthier you get, the less you need to take hot showers, the better your blood flows in your body. I'm getting better circulation all the time. And the better circulation you get and the healthier that you get, the less dependent that you are on all of these different things. And like, imagine being able to, you're so healthy and you have so much knowledge on so many different aspects of health and healing that you can live in the absolute simplest house and live the most simple life. And you use just a basic technology like this Windows 7 computer that I've still got, and you're able to repair it because you've got a bunch of parts from other computers that you've saved, and it continues to work. But this computer, as an example, is not connected to Windows updates. And they told me, you guys told me, some of you told me, not all of you, but some of you told me years ago that if I disconnected this computer from Windows updates, that I'd be vulnerable to a hack, that my computer would no longer function eventually, and this and that. Well, I made some adjustments and I got a new fast hard drive and I put new RAM in the computer, and this computer is still rocking, baby. And so don't tell me that I can't do stuff, because oftentimes, usually I can. And I didn't have to buy a new computer. I like Windows 7, and I think I told you a couple of videos ago that my computer guy, and he knows his stuff, he got sick of Windows 10 and went back to Windows 7. Windows 7 rocks. It's simple and it works. And no, I haven't had any problems whatsoever from not getting any Windows updates, because see, that's another perfect example of a company that's somewhere up in the top of one of those skyscrapers that wants to manipulate you and sell and make more money because they just can't get enough. Microsoft just can't get enough. And so they want to sell more computers to you. And so what they'll do is they'll make things so that they're outdated and they no longer function anymore. And they've got more advertisements on them. When I actually updated this computer to Windows 10 for about 2 days, and I was like, I'm taking it back. I took it back to the computer guy and I said, put Windows 7 back on my computer. And he did. I couldn't stand it. And so, anyways, I'm just telling you that that just because you have a progressive mindset and you have an understanding for the bottom line for the way things work doesn't mean that you're insensitive and that you don't care and that there weren't people that were in those buildings that mattered, because they did. It's just that I'm giving you a different perspective on the way I think. And the way I think is often anti-mainstream. You know me. You know what I am. I'm against everything that's causing all of the poor health that people have. Okay, this is a health and healing channel. And if you don't get it into your head that all of these things that I've learned were largely all of the problems that I had in my life before were largely created, not all of them, but the majority of the problems that I had in my life before were largely created by all of this greed that I'm telling you about, that's being created and manipulated by a lot of people in high-rise buildings that are trying to do anything to continue to just make more and more money so that they can buy their Lear jets, they can buy their yachts, they can buy their giant houses, they can buy all of these different wonderful things that they think that they really need. But it's not. When it comes down to it, if those people were to spend time with me here learning about all of the things that I'm teaching you guys, and I went out and shot videos, travel videos all day today in town, in the mountains. Pretty soon I'm going to load them all up. I'm going to edit them. It'll take me hours and hours to edit these videos. But I go out and I teach people like a freaking Mormon missionary. You guys know I'm from Utah. I'm like a health missionary out teaching people how to invert on the board. All they need is a board. Think about it. People are out there and they're like, honey, you better go to the podiatrist next week. Your feet have just been killing you. I can tell you can't sleep. You're all knotted up and you're grimacing every time you walk. You're in pain. And I have this thing that I made out of a piece of wood with a blade on the end of it, that teaches them how to massage their feet. It doesn't, well, I teach them. And the board, it's just a tool. It's a piece of wood, God given from a tree, God given from a beautiful maple tree. Sorry. So, yeah. Sometimes when I think about nature and the simplicity of healing, I get very emotional. We don't need giant buildings. They're horrible for the environment. They're horrible. Giant buildings, blah, blah, blah. It's just a big ego trip. What we need is a lot less people. We need a lot less people. And then the ones that are all left over, those people need to get it together and start doing things logically and stop fracking and doing aggressive things to our planet. And we need to gradually start blowing up the dams, okay? The dams, I was just reading on the Sea Shepherd website, or Sea Shepherd group on Facebook the other day. I was reading an article about how they're proposing the removal of a big dam that's causing grief in regards to the salmon run in Oregon. Okay, so all of these things, maybe we've needed them. Maybe we needed the dam for electricity for the last 50 years. But there comes a time when we need to be more considerate to the Indian tribes on that land that depend and need the salmon run every year. That doesn't happen because of the dam being there. So all of these giant menagerie things, whether it be a dam or whether it be a giant skyscraper or this or that, if they get destroyed, don't be surprised if I'm one of the people that's not like crying about it. Because remember, I'm on the side of nature. and nature is God. And it's okay to use the resources. But we have to get to a point where we're using the trees and the cement and the rubber and the dirt and the minerals and all the different freaking things logically, and not in a way that they're damaging our own environment. Because when they damage our own environment, this causes grief to us. It causes us pain. And when we get physical pain, then we have to people resort to overeating. They resort to all kinds of things to get relief. And all of that needs to go away. We need to really change the way we live our lives. And these things, okay? So I feel really blessed. I've been feeling really blessed. In addition to depressed sometimes, I've been feeling, for the most part, blessed because I see good things happening. As an example, in the store the other day, they were announcing, the dietitian, some of you read this, the dietitian was announcing that people should start getting up in the morning and go walking and exercising in various ways. I had never heard that before on the intercom at the grocery store here before, or anywhere else. I'd never heard that before. I heard some things from the Ingalls dietitian, blah, blah, blah. But they're getting more aggressive with people, and that's because they know. The dietitian knows. The doctors know. The nurses know. They all freaking know by now. It's been a year, more than a year. It's been a year and a half that people have thought about these things. But since, since COVID started, okay? Since it started, people have had a lot of time to think about it. And for God's sakes, they must be thinking that maybe we'd better get healthy. They are. And it's not just them. And what it's going to take is a lot of pain. And I believe that the reason that you're seeing Joe Biden coming out with all of these new yada yadas is because he's being pressured by the money. The medical industry has a lot of money. And they're going to push him because they're being pushed. The screws are turning in on them more and more and more. And there are a lot of nurses out there that are going to quit their jobs. They've gotten to this point, a breaking point. For years, I know one, Nikki, a friend of mine in St. Louis, is a nurse that works at a hospital. And for a long time, Nikki told me that the things that she has a problem with the medical industry. She told me various things, and I've heard it from nurses. I used to work on a lot of nurses. Nurses, hairdressers, and counselors would come to me more for massage more than anybody else. And I've heard about how they told me that they were trying to be the conduit. They were trying to be the go-between between the natural health industry and the conventional medicine industry, and that made them proud. And you've got to like them for that. You've got to, because I could never do it. There's no way that I could ever do it. You have to be somebody that's very understanding to be in that kind of a situation. They're being put into a place now of where I would say that if those people are true health people, what they'll do is quit their jobs if they're forced to get it, because they won't do it. They know better. The pure ones. Some of them will. Some of them will break down and go ahead and get it. And that goes for every other industry, teachers or whatever. Whoever the government thinks that they can force to do whatever, to do it, to get it every 3 months, whatever. And the pure ones, they won't do it. They won't buy into it. They'll quit and they'll be glad for doing it because they're tired of teaching. They're tired of nursing anyway. And they did their thing. They did their job while they were in there. It was a good thing. But you're just about to see war. You're just about to see a big bunch of legal and or whatever war. And in my opinion, people will just not do it. The companies will just not abide. They will, companies that have owners that refuse to get it for whatever reason, they'll tell their employees, no, you don't have to. No, that's what I think they'll do. And will the government be able to enforce all of this? I don't think so. I do not think so. I think that just a lot of crap is going to hit the fan, and it's all exactly what needs to happen. That's what I think. Everything, all of this has to rise to the surface to be examined, and the truth has to come out. That's all there is to it. Because as I was driving down the road today, I made a clip at McDonald's today, and you'll enjoy it. And it looks to me like there are still plenty of people that are still going to buy junk food if you go to the store, and it's not going to end. And the only way all of these things are going to change is if all hell breaks loose. Now, that being said, I don't think that we're going to experience a shutdown of our country like we did last year. I don't think that's going to happen because it can't happen very much more. I mean, it could happen in some states. It could happen in some states, the liberal states, to a degree. But I don't think it's going to be happening all of that much more because it can't. The government can't just keep feeding people money, feeding people money, feeding people money. How long can that go on? People need to live. People need to keep living. And they need to face the truth, which is look at how many people are dying of heart disease and diabetes and all of these different diseases. Alzheimer's, like my dad died of Alzheimer's last February. Look at all of these millions of people that are dying of that every single day. I believe it's like between just diabetes and heart disease, like 6,000 people die a day. And they die slowly at home. And that's okay with the medical industry. As long as people are dying slowly at home by the thousands and full of drugs, they're okay with that. They're making their money, and as long as they've got everybody under their thumb paying their health insurance every month, and they're making their billions and billions of dollars, and everyone's dying slowly at home until they finally just die in their beds of whatever, and then the ambulance comes, they can handle sending out an ambulance. They pick up the body, take it to the morgue, and bury it. Okay, so they can handle that. But when they've got people coming in sick of a virus by the thousands and filling their hospitals full so that they can't take more patients, and it's just you've heard the nurses, you've heard the doctors. It's just a horrible thing. All these sick people that have been eating their junk food and this and that for years and years and years, and they're also full of drugs, and that creates all these complications with the COVID. Blah, 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 blah. And there's a lot of pressure. There's just this massive amount of pressure on the medical industry right now. It's absolutely perfect because what needs to change is that they need to get in gear, their butts going with teaching people, learning, first of all, learning. Those people, they don't even know about natural health. They don't know about the simple things, the natural things for the most part. The only ones that know about the simple and natural health things are the ones that they're just about to lose because they're forcing the you-know-what on them, and they're all going to quit. It's only probably a small percentage, 5, 10, 20% of varying degrees of people that work at hospitals that are into natural health. And they're going to lose them. They're going to lose their best people. But, you know, it's if you've studied how things work, if you studied natural things, and if you studied tendencies, and if you'd studied rises and falls of the way countries and businesses and whatever, health, you see that things go up and things go down. Things rise and they fall. Things are born and things die. And none of it's a surprise for me. And it's all becoming clear of things that are going to happen. There are going to be a bunch of lawsuits. There are going to be protests. The winter is difficult. The winter is always harder. And one of the aspects of the winter is that people get sick of things more. They catch colds. They get the you know what, the flu more, the viruses more. Everything happens more in the winter time and at other certain times, but the winter is hard because it's gray outside. See, that's another part of the reason for why it is, because people get depressed, especially where it's really cloudy like Oregon and Washington. And when you get depressed in your mind, it shuts down your immune system and it doesn't function as good. And people get sick more, and it's cold, and a lot of different reasons. And so we're in for another difficult winter. But thank God baseball's still on. I get to watch baseball for the next month or two, couple of months with the playoffs. But anyways, those are my thoughts on giant menageries and things that have to, well, they'll eventually go, you know? They'll eventually go. And no, I'm not like, no, I'm not like a pro-terrorist. You guys know, like, some new viewers might think, this guy is like a pro-terrorist. He's like a domestic terrorist, you know, like I'm going to go out and I'm going to blow things up or something. I'm just saying that I'm somebody that looks at things for the truth and the way they are, and I'm on the side of health. Remember, I'm on the side of health. And if you're on the side of health, it oftentimes goes against commerce. It goes against the mass production of things at all costs. It doesn't matter, like we have to just keep producing more and more to be able to compete with China, no matter what. And we have to keep making more weapons to be able to police the world so that we can continue to compete. Somewhere, something has got to come along to put the big whatever on it, on the whole, all of that. Something has to come along, and it's God and nature that's going to come along and say, you know, don't do that anymore. And I'm all for it. You just know that I'm on the side of that for which spanks humanity right on its rear end until it bleeds. Because people, like I've told you before, now my dad, he would not quit drinking until he was damn near dead. It's a sad thing. Not all people are like that, though. A lot of people get the clues relatively early and they make the changes. And that's why I make these videos, because I know that there are people out there that think about things and they've experienced troubles and they know not to do the same yada yada anymore. They know that they better learn a better way. So I want to thank you for joining me with this live presentation. I want to remind you that tomorrow night I will be doing more of a live thing, because when it's not just me talking, it's cool. I mean, how long did you think that I could just sit here and talk to a camera with nobody else talking back at me? And so if you go back to the videos, I don't have the link on this video, but if you go back to the live Was it a live video or I can't remember if it was a live or a video. But it's the spiritual video with the hands. There's a bunch of hands connecting in the middle. And that video in the description box has the link to the Google Meet, which it used to be Google Hangouts. Okay, it used to be Google Hangouts and now it's Google Meet. And it's got that live link. And on Sunday nights at 9 p.m., we're going to get together for an hour. For right now, it's just for an hour because I'm not going to pay the extra for going longer than an hour. But from 9 to 10, we're going to get together and we're going to see how it goes. So I hope you can join us tomorrow. And yeah, I hope that you're having a nice night. And if I ruffled any feathers with the truths of the way I think about how health is the most important thing, then I'm sorry, but you're watching the wrong channel. Because on this channel, we believe that your health is the most important thing. And the reason is because without your health, you're dead. It's pretty simple, huh? It's pretty freaking simple. Oh man, I should have turned that light off back there. Just consider that to be a light from the angels. Thanks everybody for joining me. Go to brettsnaturalhealth.com, buy some awesome products, get yourself a foot friend massage tool and rub your feet every day like I do before bed. Crack your back with one of my wooden spine rollers like I do every single day. You know what? I should read some of the things. You know, sometimes I'll get talking and I'll just keep going and going and going. And some spammer loser will start writing a bunch of crap over there. And I'll be like, oh my God, look at this. I'll usually be able to catch it out of the side of my eye though. Okay, so, hey bro, what's up? I'm a little drunk. Hey Ulysses. Okay, well, don't get too drunk and don't go drive. Don't go driving. Hey seashells. Yeah, materialism creates slaves and a lot of other things. Hi April. Tomorrow the power will be out tomorrow in Canada, Ontario. Why will the power be out? Is it like some kind of a thing for 9/11 or something? Right, Windows 7 was good, yes. Michael Jackson, you are correct. Thoughts on Jay Masters being canceled off YouTube? Like I said, dude, I don't know who that is. Bye, Michael. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you. Yes, that's what I like to do. I try not to be like, sometimes I can be really kind of overly aggressive about speaking the truth. I try not to be too bad. I'm coming towards the center. It was inevitable that I come towards the center and be a little bit more kind and understanding of things. And I totally am, especially lately. I'm not going to get into the herbal knowledge in regards to that, but like just briefly, the way that one of the most cleansing and detoxing herbs against viruses is lemon balm, also known as Melissa officinalis. And so that's really aggressive against lip sores and all these viruses that are coming out of my body, like in my arms. My arms have been sore and they're not near as sore now. They're getting better, and so is my lip. But all of those viruses, they are largely, not all of them, but from what I've learned and from what I've experienced, that lemon balm is amazing. Like if you consume too much of it and you've got viruses in your body, you will definitely detox and get sick. I have experienced that. But also, the funny thing about lemon balm is that it very much calms the mind and spirit. And it's been said that lemon balm can really help you to be like a nicer person, like because that coincides. When you calm your mind and you're gentle and you're mellow, then that's how you are. You're more understanding. All of that goes together. You're more of an understanding person versus, it's more of a centrist thing. Moving towards the center and not being too liberal, too bleeding hearted, too whatever. Somebody asked me, somebody that I just met the other day and friended, and I sold her a pillow. She is probably a druggie, I think, because she asked me to borrow $300 the other day. I don't know this person. I met her a couple of weeks ago. I met her through this trade that I did with somebody else on YouTube. She wanted to buy one of my pillows, and I sent it to her. And then she asked me yesterday morning if she could borrow $300 from me. And I'm like, and she sounded really irrational too. I should tell you, she was like, I was like, I told her I don't borrow. Oh, she said that she needed to refill her meds. And I said, I especially don't borrow people money for freaking prescription meds. Because she was prescribed, or she's probably still subscribed to me on YouTube. She might even be watching this, but I blocked her. But I thought, like, wow, she's got a lot of nerve. Like, she doesn't even know me. And she said that it was for buying prescription meds. And then I said, there's no way that I would ever borrow that to you for that. And then and then she changed her mind. She said, oh, it's for food. And I'm like, yeah, well, I'll bet I know what it's really for. It's probably for meth. And you just there's no way that I'm bleeding hearted and stupid to borrow somebody that I don't even know $300, especially with the kind of money that I have. I don't have that much money in the bank to be borrowing $300 to somebody that I don't even know. Now, if it was a good friend, like seashells, it would probably happen. But anyways, you get the picture. There's a line, there's a fine line, and you have to know where to be in the middle with so many different things. And politically saying something like conservative and liberal, etc., it's just an example. It's just an example in regards to politics. But disregard politics for a minute and think about all of the other things that you can be liberal and conservative about. There are people that are artists, and I'm just continuing to go on and on. There are people that are artists that believe in these things that I tell you in regards to the rich, you know. And I'm not saying that all rich people are bad, because they're not. Look at Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett is an awesome dude. He donates a lot of money to a lot of charities, and he's one of the richest billionaires in the world. But just in general, people that have a lot of money, they're thinking about in terms of like money. And there are people that don't have hardly any money at all, like me, and like people that have a lot less than me that donate to animal charities and things that they really care about. They'll donate their last $5. Some of my viewers are like that. Amazing people, because they really care about things that matter. So that's what I mean about these damn big buildings. But I'm trying to just tell you that it's really good to have a balance between yin and yang. And that's why I named myself Chi. That's why my new agey nickname is Chi, because that's what that means in Chinese. Balance. Okay? The yin yang symbol. So on that note, I would like to thank you for joining me tonight, and I hope that you are well.